All right, 5-color Niv. Is card for card a viewer submission. Hopefully we can dodge Field of the Dead because this probably has an awful Field of the Dead matchup, which saying that probably means we're going to run into running Field of the Dead decks in a row. I don't know. Maybe we'll just concede to Field of the Dead and play 2 leagues if we need to, but let's dive in and see how this goes. These are types of kind of like mid-range grindy card advantage decks that like really get gone over the top of by Field of the Dead. That are maybe more playable if they don't exist. Drop me a direct message for a Mythgard code. If I post it in general chat, someone else can snap it up. And codes for Mythgard apply to subs and non-subs. So if you're someone who needs to spend shillings to chat, I've got plenty of them. So till the end of the day, they expire tomorrow. So if I give you one, make sure you plug it in before tomorrow. Aaron Forsyth said on Twitter that they will be doing aggressive out-of-cycle bans for Pioneer. So how often does that equate to? I am uncertain. We played against Field of the Dead twice yesterday, I believe. So you're definitely super anecdotal. It will take some time to get data. Yeah, I'm planning to do 4 Pioneer decks this week. We're going to do 2 tomorrow and 2 on Friday. And then I'm planning to do 6 Pioneer decks next week. And then I'll take a look at all the information from those and see what we want to do from there. I think I'm going to bottom that for now. I have all my colors already. I don't really need a 5th land necessarily just yet. Does this mean Watch, you'll do the right thing, give us a watch list for the format? I would find a watch list incredibly surprising. I haven't played in a hot second. The Blue-Red Alliance is feeling sweet. Yeah, that one felt really good last time we played it. Relatively aggressive. I wonder how good it is against, these food decks, though. It's a nice elk. Right on time, Goosey. Welcome to the party. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they gave us a watch list for the format.
Let's broaden your existence. I'll think up a fun fate for you.
Alright, so this Fabled Passage can get a Plains, and then we can play an Aurelia here. And I have all my colors set up at this point, so I think I'm just going to Oko on the Gilded Globe here as an extra thing in defense. Hey, have a good one, Gara.
Surely you see the humor here.
Is there a way to give you credit for us starting Mythgard, like a referral or something? Just make sure you plug in one of my treat codes if you haven't. I'm sure they can track those back, but otherwise I'm sure that they're aware that I'm bringing in a lot of folks. The game is really well done. All right, I'd like to board in some Noxious Grasps, probably this trophy. I assume they're probably a Nissa deck too, and Despark at the very least it's Questing Beast. What do I want to trim here? Golos and Kenrith are probably a little clunky at our top end. I probably want to be a little bit more efficient than that. This probably isn't super useful. Domri probably dies a lot in the face of Questing Beast. That seems like an easy mulligan, right? Like, I can theoretically cast these regardless of what land I draw, but I don't think the rest does enough. I guess I'm a black source away from this, or a red source, or blue source away from this. Can I talk myself into keeping this? I don't think I can. Hey, Demir Spy, thanks for the sub gifties. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is great. 4-color Rhino Oko for Pioneer. Sounds good. What do I bottom here? I think it might actually be Oko. Is it Niv? Maybe it's Trophy. I'm gonna bottom Trophy. This is interaction. I don't know. It could be one of these two cards. Trophying them on 2 feels real bad. Like, it's not really a card I'm excited to play early. Does that card back have an animation? It has a very small animation. Bottom that for now, hoping to find like a piece of 2-mana interaction. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted for Christmas, chat. That's everything I wanted for Christmas. Is there a Fighty Wolf? Is there an Oko? And this is still a turn off. Fighty Hydra, okay. That's Fighty Wolf adjacent, right? I'm gonna go ahead and just do this and drop my Niv next turn. In 2 months, I'll finally hit my terrible 2s. I hope you're ready for Pioneer. I'm working on it with some other people with Ascendancy and Frontier. Sounds good. Sylvan Awakening Ascendancy. That's interesting. You know, are you aware Sylvan Caryatid is legal? Like, is there a reason? Is there a reason to not at least play Sylvan Caryatid that I'm missing? I'm pretty sure Sylvan Caryatid is legal. Yeah, it is, right? Yeah. Yeah, it was in Theros, right? Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a lot of confusion over the next year of people trying to figure out, like, what's legal and what's not. A lot of, oh, that's legal. No, that's not legal. A lot of that. Alright, so I think we just Broko and then Elk the Cavalier here. Nice dice trigger. Don't really need another land. We get to pass with the biggest creature on the board and a trophy up. Feeling pretty good. Yeah, there's a lot of really rancid cards just aren't good. That just aren't legal in Pioneer. Yeah. At this point, anybody who's messaged me on Twitter, Twitch, or Discord, you should have gotten a Mythgard code back. If you didn't get a code back, that's because your social media settings were wrong, and I was unable to message you back. So if you sent a request for a code and have not seen a code back from me, it's your fault. It's not my fault. I tried. You have no one to blame but yourself. So now I have to decide, do I want to keep Broko alive Because I could clean their board out, right? So like if I let Oko die, I can like trophy this, untap Clarion, and like probably run them down. I think I'm in for that. Hey, Random PN, thanks for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Coach for what? Coach for the Mythgard game that I've been playing a bit of. They've sponsored my stream moving forward, and through the end of the year at least, and I've got a bunch of codes for their game that are good through tomorrow. So, welcome to Mythgard package for new people. Hey, Logic Void, thanks for the 2-month Prime sub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I kind of ran with that as truth. Yeah, maybe. I'll take a look at it, Nivik. There's definitely a couple different directions to take Ascendancy combo in Pioneer. With very minimal knowledge about the Mythgard game, I created an account and used the code you gave. First impression of this game is, I'm going to spend some money and enjoy this, aren't I? Yeah, honestly, with the treat code plus their $10 starter pack, gets you like 30 packs between the two things, which is almost assuredly enough to build a reasonable deck. Their feature decks also give you a lot of stuff to enjoy without spending any money, which is great. Yeah, Pioneer streams are going to start tomorrow morning. Aurelia gives this both. That's so good. The old hidden mode on Clarion there. Hey, Cannon Hammer, thanks for the quarter of a year. Welcome back. I appreciate that. You could probably say this channel has some whale culture inside of it, Pelly. We get a trophy to attacker, and then Oko'd the 6/6 and wipe their board. No, that's not true, Micah, because the 6/6 was a Hydroid Crisis. So if you Oko a Hydroid Crisis, it's going to be a 9/9 because it's a 3/3 plus the counters on it. So creature with 1/1 counters actually tend to be very reasonable against. Well, that's a result. It's actually funny, and this is just a good example of like there's always a bigger fish, right? Like when we were playing decks like this, we talked about how decks like this were largely pushed out of the format by Field of the Dead, right? But before Field of the Dead was a card, decks like this were getting bullied by cards like Mass Manipulation. And I really think we're gonna see stuff like this pop back up where like people realize that like their decks that were made bad and unplayable by Field of the Dead are gonna still be bad, but they're gonna be bad for a different reason, right? Is Deckmaster down? Deckmaster claims to be working. Oh, my login failed. Weird. Is their login server down? Thanks for the heads up. Let me reload it. Oh, technology. Alright, I believe Deckmaster should be theoretically working now. Please let me know if that's not the case. Oh, look! I looked away and looked back and we'd been out-greeted. Weird how that works. Weird how that works. And this is again just a great example of like I think banning just Field of the Dead was an incredible mistake because I think decks like what my opponent is currently playing, our current opponent is playing, are infinitely harder to attack from a metagame perspective than Field of the Dead was. Field of the Dead, in my opinion, was incredibly easy to attack from a metagame perspective. Like, what it was doing was very clear, it was very linear, and it had very clear goalposts of what you were trying to do to beat it, and what you could do to beat it. And decks like what this current opponent is playing don't have that. They're just generically powerful, and there aren't, like, cards like Questing Beast that are just like, one card, okay, run your opponent down. Yeah, I agree, Violet Journey. I agree that they're completely different. Field of the Dead was a snowball effect, and mass manipulation. You know, we used to always say these matches have swings bigger than you'll find on the Giants' playground, and that's exactly what we see here. It's like, well, none of my decisions mattered that game because they cast mass manipulation, and in my opinion, these games are much worse than the games that Field of the Dead generated, because I'd much rather have games that are about incremental advantage rather than this big swing that invalidates all of the incremental advantage and decisions I've made building up to it. And bringing in 4 Disdainful Stroke, so I think 4 Stroke plus Veil of Summer is too many. I can't bring in too many reactive cards, so I do need to actually kill them. And that's, you know, I'm still going to be doing standard content because, like, bad standard content because of Arena is still more popular than, like, Modern or probably Pioneer too, I would bet. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised and Pioneer content will be better than bad standard content, but, like, I was really enjoying the play patterns of the previous standard format for the most part, and, like, banning Field of the Dead invalidated a lot of the decks that I was enjoying while making the decks that I really didn't like playing against significantly better. So we'll see. I'm always going to be doing some standard and arena content, but if the standard format, like, turns into a mass manipulation fest again, I'm probably going to dial it back a little bit. Not do quite as much as I have in the past. I think it's hard for Brews to attack, like, what our current opponent is doing. And, like, our current opponent, like, what their deck is doing is very reasonable and very strong. It's just, it's strong because it's difficult to attack. Pseudo Daviko, the person who just DM'd me asking for a Mythgard code, your settings do not currently allow me to direct message you. So I tried to send you a code, but I cannot send you a code because your settings are wrong. So if you adjust that, message me again. I'm happy to send you one. Yeah, definitely, Nivik. Thanks for the biddies. I appreciate it. Planning to do two decks tomorrow morning. Excited to dig through time. Yeah, no, I think Chobo, what you're underestimating is the number of new people that have gotten into Magic with Arena that have zero interest in ever watching Magic Online. And, like, some amount of my viewers are, like, here because they like me and they're gonna watch me play MTGO or Mythgard or anything that I play, but there's a certain, you know, there are a number of people that I have that like yesterday, for instance, our viewership went to 2.5 as much when we switched from Modern back to Dead Standard. I'm here for the hacks. Yeah, exactly, Jin. I'm gonna go ahead and just play this out and probably just pass with Bedevil up. Nah, this isn't a Nissa turn. I'm just going to play a Temple. If this was like a 5-mana turn, I guess they could Growth Spiral. They're pausing. They could Growth Spiral untap Nissa, and that would be bad. Yeah, I agree, Dude Light. And Pioneer's going to have that same issue. I'm here for the $1 million artifact tournament content. God bless. There is not a Deckmaster type plugin for Moto. Moto doesn't have an event log that it dumps information to that you can scrape to make a plugin from. Which is something I've been requesting for, I don't know, months now, but they just don't care. Because their teams are completely disconnected and don't understand what is necessary, required to make Magic content. So super punished for not playing Plains out so I could Bedevil this. Kind of rewarded, because now I can despark it, I guess. I'm going to pass to their upkeep to despark, so that way if they have a Veil of Summer, they have to do it during their turn. Well, this does let them negate if they have a negate up.
I cannot protect you anymore.
So next turn we can drop Niv, and then hopefully Niv draws us into a Clarion to clean this board out. Abzan tokens build around, 10 out of 10. Thanks, Nevik, I appreciate you. Way you would tune it for the new metagame. 4 Aether Gusts in a sideboard are in the sideboard are a must. Alright, so this is red, green, black, blue, white. Sweet, I don't even have to use the globe. Will I make Pioneer sub-battles? No, I'm just gonna play leagues. Coordinating matches with people in chat just takes too much energy. It not only does it take too much energy, but it leads to too much downtime, like waiting to coordinate to try and figure out who's supposed to be playing when. So my intention is to play things where there's an on-demand queue for us to play them. It's a pretty good Niv trigger. All right, there's a Cavalier. And then next turn we get to go Oko your Cavalier, Clarion attack you, right? Which is pretty good. And they're still relatively far off of mass manipulation, I suppose. Although I guess that's not really true. They're like 1 blue source off. There's my YouTube video about... When does your video about Pioneer go live on YouTube? What do you mean? What video about Pioneer? My reaction video? That went up 2 days ago. If that's what you're referring to. Wow, this auto tapper. And like, they knew about Oko and Clarion here, so they were just like hoping I didn't have a land, I guess. Do you think the viewership different is the software or the format or both? It's definitely both. A good example of how I know it's both is because Magic Online videos perform worse on YouTube as well. And on YouTube, there's no overlay for either application. So I think it's very obviously a mix of the two. I think the MTGO viewership would be slightly better. It would be slightly better if there was an overlay on Twitch, because I'm like, people who just like, oh, we're just about to get flippin' quasi-duplicated and take my thing, huh? I'm so dumb. I should have played something where I could hold up grasp. I wasn't thinking about quasi-duplicate. That's awkward. Well, so we're dead. Yeah, I agree. This format blows. I think the format is worse with the changes that they made. I think banning Field of the Dead makes the format significantly worse. Thanks for the 17 months, Edge Freak. I appreciate that. Yeah, so Pioneer queues get added to Magic Online today, but Magic Online isn't scheduled to come up from downtime for another like 6 hours. Thanks for the 10 months, Regu. And basically, the important takeaway from this format, from this change, is that a lot of these decks that were unplayable against Field of the Dead are still unplayable. They're just unplayable for a different reason. Yeah, Oko has made waves in every constructed format. Like, Oko was in the winning deck of the Vintage Challenge last week. This, the last 9 months have shattered all of the faith that I had in Magic's R&D. Like, when I first came back to Standard and we were playing after, when I came back to Standard with Guilds of Ravnica, the Standard format was so good I was really excited and thought that they were on point, but honestly at this point I think they just got lucky. It feels like a lot of these cards just like weren't tested. Like it's so, there's so much wrong with the format, it feels like there's no way they could have tested this. I think the Esper Doom Foretold decks are miserable, which is another thing that got better in this format with the ban. Which is another reason why I think the format got significantly worse. So I don't have white, I guess I have white mana from Gilded Globe, but I also like don't, what's the word I'm searching for? I don't have room in my hand to like have more stuff, so I think I want to just play this and loot and try and like empty my hand out a little bit before I jam Niv. I'm gonna ditch Domri, keep a backup Oko. Field of the Dead is banned tomorrow. Takes them forever to make changes.
Let me synthesize the facts.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good draw, huh? Killing this Night Veil Predator sounds great. I can play my Goose out. Is the deck I'm considering for the weekend? No, not at all. The deck queue's got a bunch of decks in it, Hider. So the 4-color Oven deck is the last deck today. Is the deck I'm considering for the weekend, but most of what we're still playing are just deck queue decks. Not enough hours in the day to spend all day testing things that I want to play. I'm also just like not really excited to play this weekend now. I'm also just like kind of off the Standard format and don't really want to spend much time testing it. So like, I'll probably just like pick a random deck that I kind of like and like not just like hope to run good. It's like, I don't like this format enough in its current iteration to like devote actual time to testing it. But at least Business Daddy sells more boosters with the ban, and now everybody needs 4 Okos. Yeah, Oko's probably gonna hit $100 in paper. It might hit $100 on Moto too, honestly. It's like 70 or $80 at the moment, I believe. What's TCG Player say? Oko Thief of Crowns. Oh, he's lower than I thought. He's only 55. Only 55. For the low price of $220, you can have 4 copies of a card that need to go in every Standard deck you play. We're not quite at chase levels yet. All right, do I cash this in? If I cash this in, I'm gonna have to discard the hand size. Those part of the issue, right? I have 8. I do 12 to them though. I can also just plus this here and smack their face. That sounds kind of appealing, honestly. You have any insight on how they test these cards? I thought I did, but after this last couple of seasons, however I thought they managed testing cards is very clearly not the case.
About me is absolute nonsense and absolutely true.
Murmuring Mystic. Maybe it depends on... I don't know. Murmuring Mystic sounds like a worse version of the Jeskai threat in that deck, because the Jeskai threat's like a 3/3 flyer. It's like maybe if you want Murmuring Mystic and that other card, that could possibly be the case, but I'd be surprised if that's the case. Good morning, Dex. Yeah, without Lightning Strike in the format, I think Kaikar is probably better than Mystic. If you can cast it. We got you, Gerd. Have a good start to your day. Oko goes to the 2.
You are fouler than
I don't know if they have like a destroy target planeswalker for this. The 0-1 bracket of a constructed league is a silly place, Robin. And you think aggro decks will adapt to this new meta? I think aggro decks are pretty awful. What is this targeting? It's targeting Oko? Sure.
You're too close-minded.
I think aggro decks have a really miserable time against all these food decks.
Bow to the mind's dream and the heart's fervor.
Like I said, I think the bannings that they made yesterday or on Monday were a horrible mistake and made the format significantly worse. I think a lot of the decks that Field of the Dead made unplayable are still unplayable, and aggressive decks that were able to attack Field of the Dead decks in a very specific manner are also much worse now. I think they made the format more narrow by banning Field of the Dead. I think is likely the case. Obviously, I'm not saying that with certainty because I can't predict the future, but from a theory perspective of how these formats shake out and how cards tend to line up and interact with each other, I believe that's likely what's going to end up happening. Atlas Hammer, thanks for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Thanks for keeping me around. I think hard control decks like Esper will be the one deck that sees an uptick, but I also think that that's a net negative for the format because I think those types of decks generate awful gameplay. I think making aggro decks worse at the cost of making do-nothing control decks better is a miserable decision. Minus 250. That's definitely true, Rook Revolt. My opinion as a player is I don't want to play against Oko. Yeah, I agree. I think like people are always going to complain about whatever the top deck is. There's always going to be some number of people who don't like what the top deck is. And maybe maybe I'm in the minority in saying I'd rather play against Field of the Dead than turn 2 Okos and Esper Control all day. Maybe I'm in the minority when I say I prefer playing against aggro and Field of the Dead than I do playing against blue-green food and, you know, everything else. And, like, the blue-green food deck was still fine even when Field of the Dead was legal, right? Like I said, I don't think banning something was wrong. I think banning only Field of the Dead was very wrong, though. I feel like it shows a misunderstanding of, like, how these formats develop. But I also think that, like, the people making the ban decisions are people who, like, thought Stoneforge Mystic was too good for Modern for a long time, and that's very clearly not the case, right? Like, it's very obvious that, like, my personal feelings towards cards that are too good and how formats shape appear to be very different than the people who are making the decisions around these things. I think that's probably the case, the bus driver. I think the decks that are likely playable and competitive have gotten smaller with the Field of the Dead banning. In an ideal world, what should have been banned in addition to Field to make Standard look healthier? At the very least, they should have banned Nissa. If they told me, Jeff, you can ban whatever you want, I would have banned Gilded Goose, Arboreal Grazer, and 3-mana Teferi. I would have gotten rid of all of those cards. Would have taken the format to the cleaners. Came here to get my complimentary timeout. We got you, Testy fella. A spinning wheel and a dart is how WotC makes these decisions. You know, that feels accurate a lot of the time as an outsider looking in. Yeah, and that's the other thing, too, that people don't get. Like, people are like, well, when they ban a card, I get wild cards back for banning Field of the Dead, right? But, like, now everyone who crafted Temur Oko is out a bunch of wild cards effectively, too, because Temur Oko's not really a playable deck anymore. So, like, a bunch of people spent a bunch of wild cards, and their wild card spendings are now effectively useless. I think I'm trophying this to stem my bleeding. Although I guess if I don't draw a land now, I can't cast Niv-Mizzet, so maybe that's wrong. Do you believe that having actual players who play every day should be the ones that choose the ban for once? Yeah, no, I don't think so. And maybe they know what's best, and maybe there's something in this format that I'm missing that's going to come out that's, like, really healthy and reasonable and engaging. Well, all I have to say is from my experience with Modern, every time I've thought a card should be unbanned in Modern, and they were vehemently against it and, like, didn't unban it for a long time, they eventually unbanned it, and then that card was fine or borderline bad. So, like, based on that experience, it feels like maybe they don't have the best people making decisions. I don't know. It is what it is. At the end of the day, we just play the game that they give us, right? We don't really have the power to make decisions. Ink Arena can remain the standard-only client, and Moto can be the go-to client for all other formats? I hope not. As someone who wants to see Magic content grow and become more popular, Magic content is less popular than it otherwise could be because Magic Online is awful. Magic software would be better off if all formats of Magic were played on a client that looked as nice as this and played as quickly as this does. I feel like people had more of an issue with Nexus of Fate or Reclamation. I have no idea. Yeah, do you think it didn't act because it was a powerful box stopper? Maybe they were holding off because it was a box stopper. Yeah, I could see that. My plan is crystallizing. One food, please. Pioneer boggles last night. You're bad and you should feel bad. You're a monster. Yeah, I agree, Sunhouse. It's just worse to watch. It's less exciting. And honestly, like, all graphic effects aside, the speed of play on Magic Online is abysmal. How long it takes to just cast a spell it just takes forever. No, I don't even think that's a good idea, Conqueror. Because, like, if you look at a lot of those players, go back and look at the Pro Tour caliber players who said that Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic were too good and would make huge waves in Modern. And then go look now and see how incredibly wrong they were. I think we've died. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we've died. Again, like, there's always a greedier fish out there, right? Like, it feels like this deck still feels like we're getting outclassed by people who want to be bigger and greedier than us. They're just like a different kind of bigger and greedier than Field of the Dead was. Alright, maybe D-Spark's not good enough. We saw Seraph in the Scales game 1, but apparently they don't have that many of that card. Maybe I want some Noxious Grasp. Noxious Grasp covers Seraph and it covers their 3-2. Yeah, I agree with that, Supion, actually. I think that actually kind of explains this last cycle of bannings. I feel like they're not even doing power level bans at this point. Like, the Field of the Dead ban feels like it was a shake-up ban to a degree. It was just like people are complaining and something needs to change ban. Mono Black Devotion. I would be surprised if Grey Merchant is competitive. Maybe the format's super slow. I feel like how slow the format needs to be for Grey Merchant to be competitive is probably unrealistic. I don't know. Maybe I'm too scarred from Modern and assume Pioneer is going to be more brutal than it is. These are the Mastery Pass sleeves for the season. To get them for like level 100, I think. Or something like that. The ban comes to Arena tomorrow morning. Yeah, just drop me a direct message here on Twitch, Ordinary Bagel. And more importantly, make sure your direct message settings allow me to message you back. I've had a bunch of people who messaged me looking for Mythgard codes who I wasn't able to send them a message back, which is real awkward. So, the current start to the format, Tori, is a lot like a new standard format, and we haven't had this for non-rotating format in some time. Basically, the current games that you've been watching are people playing bad brews against bad brews. So, like, what people play for the first week or month is going to be very different than what the format looks like once it's more developed and people have brutal, efficient shells to beat people down with. Hey, Ninja Killer, thanks for the third of a year. Welcome back. And Jace, welcome with the brand new tier 1 sub. Hope you're having an excellent Wednesday wherever you're at in the world. There's no Inquisition in the format, so we don't have to deal with 8x 1-mana discard decks at least. Yeah, I think a lot of people, Oops Bat, are going to realize that, like, their deck idea that wasn't good enough for Modern is going to similarly be not good enough for Pioneer. And they're going to be sad to hear that, but that's probably the reality. Animation is great.
It was probably going to die anyway.
Do-do-do-do. I just want to live in my bad brew bubble. Don't burst me. Listen, enjoy it while it lasts, okay? Enjoy it while it lasts. I, honestly, as someone who's talked about this in Modern for a long time, I'm really hoping Wizards takes this new format as an excuse to have a lower power level, non-rotating format. I'm trying to find a mono red deck that can consistently goldfish turn 4s while having Eidolon on the sideboard. Yep. Yep.
Open your heart to the magic.
Thanks for the team or super friends and the metagame event. I'll sub tomorrow, I promise. I feel like the ban was a lose-lose for WotC. If they ban nothing, people keep... Yeah, I don't... You know, like...
As long as we win.
At the end of the day, it feels like WotC frequently caving to pressure on social media is like a net negative. Because it feels like that's what drives a lot of their decisions these days, is social media backlash. Thanks for the 27 months, Judgeinator. Maybe I should make a Jace55 account. Yep. As someone who is looking forward to your historic days and playing the format myself, the Monday announcement made me feel like an unwanted child getting fish heads to eat. Yeah. Yeah, it feels Nox hit the nail on the head with his tweet this week. Magic Arena feels like the really successful child in the family that's like grown up and become a doctor and like a marine biologist and all these other successful things, and it still doesn't get invited back to the table to talk about what's going on. Like it's unreal how much success this application has had and how much it gets treated as like an outsider to the rest of Magic. This is fine, right? We fetch a red source here. Although, do I fetch a green source now? Yep, probably want this more than this. Yeah, meanwhile, its brother, who keeps showing up to Christmas drunk, is welcomed with open arms. Getting baked before Christmas dinner. In. I feel personally attacked right now. I think a big part of it is the obvious separation of teams. A lot of the feedback I've read and even heard from people who work at Wizards is there's a huge disconnect between the different departments in terms of how they're able to communicate with each other, and that they just don't communicate. Make a thing, sure. All right, so land. Make this a 3/3, and then Othakaya kills it.
Oh dear.
It is. I agree that it's upsetting. And to be fair, yeah, I was gonna say, someone said sounds like my job. That's very common in corporate America. It's very common among large companies. Zal, thanks for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Hope you're having an excellent Wednesday wherever you are. Revenge for House Markov.
I think a little merriment is in order.
I think I'm just gonna make this a 5 and hit Soren here.
Queen victory.
Style doesn't hurt. For the realm.
Now, worth noting, I don't have a second basic forest in my deck, so this cannot provide a second green for Ravager Wurm, unfortunately. Sure.
Warrior Queen Necromancer has a nice ring to it.
Alright, so we can draw an untapped green source here. We can kill their planeswalkers, which would be great.
You have the heart.
Need to draw this. I guess any untapped land lets us Kenrith, actually. Huh. That's awkward. These shillings are tearing me apart. They motivate... The motivation-wise, I want to use them, but the idiot collector in me needs the number to be bigger. Alright, what am I doing here? So I can Oko swap this. Alright, I'm going to be aggressive and kill their Liliana here. So I can Oko swap these. And then I can give this +2, play another one, give it +2 again.
I lead the way, but my brother puts her heart behind every attack.
Then we can kill this, which is nice.
I am exhausted.
I would rather accumulate wealth than do something useful with it. Gengar, thanks for the tip. I appreciate it. 5-color Niv build around for Pioneer. Sounds excellent. I just use real money to highlight my comments and save my fake internet points. Oh.
I need a hand, Will.
Well, red, green, white, blue. So I can get black. I can get black, white, or blue with this. Skitterbox feel good when press shiny button, make number go up, earn reward. Dopamine. Give me the dopamine. Fox, I would ask that you put all deck submissions through the queue on the website. I had a huge influx of Pioneer submissions, so I've not been accepting all of them. Because I'm only gonna realistically be able to play like 6 to 10 Pioneer decks a week. So I don't want to like take a bunch and then like have a huge backlog. Because the format could change. Well, will likely change in all honesty. Better to make the zombie a 3/3 and kill Sorin? No, I don't think so. I don't think the Sorin's really accomplishing much. I'd rather just like have an extra creature the following turn. Grasp sounds great. Despark sounds great. Trophy sounds great. Deafening Clarion seems pretty medium. Othakaya seems pretty medium. Vraska doesn't seem like she kills much. Domri doesn't seem like he kills much. Devout Decree seems real good. You did. Did you get an email back? Then I don't remember. If I emailed you back telling you it was okay, then yes. Sorry, I worked like a 13-hour day yesterday. We were live for like 10 hours, and then I did a ton of work after. So it's all kind of a blur who I said yes and no to. So if I sent you an email telling you yes, then you donate for it. And I can confirm that on my back end. No, I actually ended up just rejecting a bunch of decks yesterday, Pixie. I don't sugarcoat things. If I don't think your deck's good enough, I'll tell you your deck doesn't look good enough. You said my name, of course, the blur. Yeah, I rejected a bunch of decks yesterday. Probably half a dozen or more. Because I've already got like 22 Pioneer decks queued up. Oh, are you the one with Boros Charm and Mantis Rider? Yeah, I approved that one. That's for the Boros Charm Mantis Rider build around. Jessica Aggro build around, because that sounds great. Like I said, I am a lot to keep track of. Yeah, that one's good. If I'm being completely honest, and this probably won't surprise anyone who's watched my stream, and we believe in transparency here in Hoaglandia, I rejected most of the decks that were submitted with only $10 because those decks were realistically going to have to wait a long time, and I didn't want to flood the queue with decks that were going to have to wait a month to be played. So generally speaking, I try to not accept decks if it looks like they're going to have to wait more than 30 days to be played. And there was such an influx of Pioneer decks that if I took too many $10 decks, then they were going to have to wait over a month to be played, which is generally a poor experience. Sweet. Was that a good draw? I think that was a good draw. I think I'm in for another land here, right? Transparency, right? In my experience, and maybe this is not the normal, JPaz, who just messaged me, JPaz90, your Twitch settings do not allow me to direct message you. So I would love to send you a Mythgard code, but I am currently unable to do so. Yes, Mana Confluence is going to be in a lot of 3-color decks in Pioneer. I think that card's super playable. Does anyone know when MTGO will be back up? It's scheduled to be back up at 2 p.m. Central Time, which is 6 hours from now. You have 9 hours of downtime. This is for the GO mid-range deck in the Mythgard queue. Yep, fantastic, Mage. Got it. So you're saying that if we up the initial donation amount, the deck is more likely to be accepted. Yes. Yeah, at this point, higher dollar amounts will get your Pioneer decks through. And also, this is another thing, because I'm a very data-driven person. So if you're someone who wants to see more Pioneer content on this channel when it goes live, make sure you show up for the Twitch segments or watch them on YouTube as well. Because how much Pioneer I do on stream is going to be dictated by how popular the content is. Cow! Thank you for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Hope you're having an excellent day wherever you are. Casual draw 5s. Nice control deck, opponent. Nice control deck. Man, pretty unlucky. You have to discard the hand size. No problem, Cow. Hey, Equinox, thanks for the 2 months. Welcome back. Have you looked at Frontier League data? If I'm being honest, I haven't fully started brewing yet. Yesterday was a super long day, and then I spent a bunch of time responding to deck submissions, and there's just only so many hours in the day. All right, 12U. When in my schedule do I think I'll be... Yeah, it'll be taking the early slot like Modern. So, my plan, if you look at the schedule on my website, I've already penciled in when I plan to do Pioneer for the next week and a half. So if you want to know when to expect Pioneer, you can take a look at the schedule now. It's up there. Backup Aurelia land. YouTube Lurker. Since Jace the Mind Sculptor and I'm looking forward to your Pioneer content. Thanks. You think Deathrite Shaman will be fair with the benefit? I think it will be. I'm really hoping that both Dig Through Time and Deathrite Shaman will be cards that can exist in Pioneer and not be overbearing. I have no idea, Minkies. Yay, Elder Spell. That's fine. I didn't want those Planeswalkers anyways. Joke's on you. I'm getting him back. Is it worth it to play Arena if I only had... I think at this point, with the information that we had, anybody playing Arena expecting it to do anything other than be for Standard and Draft is kidding themselves. Wizards' actions speak louder than their words, and their actions make it very clear at this point that Arena is only for Standard and Limited. And when Standard's good, that's fine. I like Standard. I like Standard when it's good, but Standard is frequently not good. Why are we playing Shocklands rather than the Fabled Passage? Oh, pulsating red no, chat. Pulsating red no. I live for the pulsating red no. Oh, Tamiyo. Oh, Tamiyo. Hey, thanks for the 2 months, Otako. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Hidden text concedes the best, right? We don't get pulsating red circles of no on Moto. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Yeah, I believe so, Violet Journey. I believe you are correct. In. These are the Mastery Pass level 100 sleeves. Also known as, what is a frame rate? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Lag. I like to think of it as, what a stable launch client. Yep. Weird 90s pop songs are what I live for. Boy, do I have the Twitch channel for you. Apparently, Mythgard is adding faction quests to help the new player experience further. Should be more steady flow of coins and help building initial collection. Sweet, Belly. Every time Mythgard makes a software decision, I'm just like, man, that makes a lot of sense. That's pretty smart. Speaking of Mythgard, today is the last day my Mythgard treat codes that they've hooked me up with are good for. So you're someone that's thinking about been jumping in, but haven't. Today's the last day I've got free goodies. I'm still going to be streaming the game every week after today, but today's the last day that my extras are good for. Don't do me wrong, Mythgard. I've been hurt before. Ain't that the truth? Don't do me dirty. Yikes. Yikes. Oh. I guess we're killing Scorch Spitter because it's going to hit for 6 next turn otherwise. If Mythgard goes south, there's always Hex. That's not true. The lie detector test determined that was a lie. Oh, this is really good for us. Sweet. Alright, so we gain 2 and this dies. Deal. I'm getting old. Thanks for the 6 months, Crockett. Welcome back. Yeah, deal. Oh, I should not have shocked that in. That was a mistake. Oh, wait, I actually needed to shock that in, right? Because I didn't have a blue land yet. I don't have blue or white. All right, never mind. Had to shock that in. We're probably dead here. Very, very big Muldrifter. Yeah, if you drop me a direct message, I can hook you up with the Mythgard, some Mythgard goodies. Z Brutality that just sent me a direct message. I am unable to direct message you back because of your Twitch settings. How am I level 100 on Master already? Through the power of your credit card, you too can be level 100 on your Mastery settings already. The most powerful card in Magic the Gathering, the credit card. Yep. Feels dead, man. Feels dead, man. I don't think we have any outs here, because, like, the Chandra's gonna hammer us. I don't have a way to kill this Torbrand currently. We have some Devout Decrees. We have an Assassin's Trophy. Knight of Autumn sounds great. I wonder if I'm supposed to bring in a Miser Despark just because killing Torbrand is pretty important. I think that's not unreasonable. Golos is slow. Wurm is slow. Domri's pretty slow. Honestly, Royal Scions are probably slow. Let's try this. I don't know. Honestly, I feel like the more that I play Mythgard, the more it's probably going to replace Hex as, like, my favorite card game of all time. The resource system in Mythgard is just, like, so much better. Like, the Hex resource system is better than Magic's resource system by a good bit, but, like, Mythgard's is even better than that. Like, not having any resource variance is super ideal. The number of non-games you generate because of resource variance is huge. Oop. You think Modern Niv wants Goose instead of Bird with an appropriate amount of Oko? I think there's a very real chance that that's the case, Hyder. I could definitely see that being a reasonable swap. I would like a 3/3, please.
Oh dear.
No attacks. Defense. Defense. Yikes. Please don't kill my... Oh, they killed my Planeswalker, chat. Sounds good, Hyder. The modern queue is going to be a little bit slow to get to, because I am replacing a bit of modern content with Pioneer coming up. replacing a little bit of standard content with Pioneer too, but I think my plan is to do 2 modern decks a week for the foreseeable future. So we're dead. Feels dead, man. mean, issues figuring out when to stop burning cards and just cast them. Any tips? It depends on your deck. A lot of the mid-range and control decks want to burn all the way up to 10. You're welcome, Sid. Yeah, I don't know. This, even with Golos Field being gone, this deck still feels like kind of a bit of a miss to me. One of our losses in that set was to blue-green food with mass manipulation going over the top, and this deck, like, in previous seasons could never beat mass manipulation. It feels like we're just going to end up back at the hugely swingy and really frustrating mass manipulation mirror matches now that Golos is banned, or now that Field of the Dead is banned. Like, there's always a biggest, dumbest thing to be doing in Standard. And, like, we banned Field of the Dead, but now that biggest, dumbest thing is just Nissa Crisis mass manipulation. So we traded one thing out that we couldn't beat for a different thing that we still can't beat. So, like, a lot of the decks in this format that weren't playable because they couldn't beat Field of the Dead are still unplayable because they're not going to beat Nissa Hydroid Crisis mass manipulation either. So, like, I don't think banning Field of the Dead is going to open up that many competitive strategies. I think Esper Control is like the one that stands to maybe have a chance, but that's probably about it. Speaking of biggest, dumbest thing in the building, I believe we have a big, this next deck is a big dumb blue-green deck, right? Moto is down. Is Moto ever really up? So this isn't quite a mass manipulation deck, but it is a ramp Hydroid Crisis deck with Agent of Treachery here as well. Are there really 0 Okos in this deck? Is that a decision the person who built this deck made? That's wrong. Let's fix that. Let's fix that very painfully obvious mistake. All right, we're gonna cut. Wrong. What am I? I don't even know what I'm trimming yet, but it's definitely some number of cards around the edges for these Okos. I don't know, part of the idea is you get Jace and you self-mill with Cavalier Thorns. So, like, quasi-Cavalier Jace is kind of like part of the core idea. I'm gonna trim once, just lower the consistency a little bit, I guess. Just play 62 cards, that's also a possibility. All right, I'm gonna run, I should have done this first. I'm gonna run a quick ad break while I get everything updated and get pictures posted in my stream deck and stuff like that. So we'll be back in a few minutes with this blue-green self-mill deck. Don't go anywhere. We've got 3 more standard decks coming up today, and then we'll be rolling into some Myth card after. Thanks.